Hey everyone, we've been losing a bit of traction lately. So please subscribe, it's free and helps us keep creating great content for you. Your support means a lot. Now, let's dive in. I had made up my mind to give up everything. When I left this city, the girl who once said she would walk with me through life was completely oblivious. Because at that moment, she was intimately wrapped up with the first love in her heart. I looked at the candle on the table, about to burn out, gently closed my eyes, and silently prayed. From today onward, I will leave Antonella. Leave her forever. The next morning, I received a call from the HR department. Secretary, your resignation letter has been approved by CEO Antonella. But it seems she didn't notice the person resigning was you. Should I remind her? The HR staff's voice echoed through the phone. I gently lowered my gaze and calmly said, "No need, let it be. But you have worked as secretary, beside CEO Antonella for 4 years. She has always been very satisfied, and it will be difficult for her to let you go. Regarding this resignation, do you really not want to reconsider?" The person on the other end patiently advised. But I just smiled. No one in this world is indispensable. My parents are not in good health. And I also need to go back home to marry, to prepare for a wedding. Now that CEO Antonella has approved it, I will hand over my work according to procedure and leave 1 month later. Thank you. After hanging up, I continued to pack my belongings. I had lived in this villa for 3 years. The items were not many, nor too few. Besides the necessities, I discarded everything else. Looking at the room gradually emptying, I was slightly dazed. A flood of memories rushed back like waves. 8 years ago, I, a young man from a town, passed the university entrance exam and became best friends with the young master of the Stark family, Lionel. Our backgrounds were worlds apart, yet we were perfectly compatible. Attending classes, eating meals, playing football, we were together every day. Gradually, I stepped into his world, met his family, and secretly fell in love with his older sister, Antonella. I kept that feeling hidden in my heart. After graduation, Lionel went abroad to study, while I stayed behind, becoming Antonella's secretary, just so I could frequently see her. Until that fateful night, Antonella was drugged by someone. As I was about to call for emergency help, she tightly embraced me, her kisses raining down heavily. After a night of intimacy, I woke up to find her sitting by the window, her beautiful face blurred in the light, silent and lonely. Hearing the movement, she turned around, and her voice was indifferent. "Do you like me?" I instinctively wanted to deny it. But she calmly continued. "Every time you see me, you blush. You clearly remember all my preferences and habits. And you applied to be my secretary right after graduation. Don't tell me it's all just a coincidence." Her every word and phrase made my face burn red. In the silent atmosphere, she suddenly handed me a card. "Last night was just an accident. I already have someone I like. I won't reciprocate your feelings. And I won't let you take responsibility. Lionel said your family background is ordinary. There's enough money in this card for you to live worry-free for the rest of your life. Just forget everything." It was then I understood. Last night, throughout the entire time, she kept calling one name, Michael. In Lionel's mouth, Michael was Antonella's first love. She loved that person so much that even though he had broken up with her and gone abroad, she waited endlessly for his return. I mustered up all my courage, blocking her before she left. "I don't need the money. I just want you to give me a chance. CEO Antonella, please try being with me. If one day she doesn't come back, or if she comes back and you still can't forget her, then I will be the one to leave on my own." Facing the emotion in my eyes, Antonella was silent for a few seconds, then only said, "As you wish," and walked away. From then on, during the day I was her secretary. At night, I was her hidden lover. The office, the Maybach, the villa, everywhere bore the traces of our madness. 4 years passed. No one knew about this relationship. I willingly endured it all. Until a few days ago, on her birthday, I prepared many surprises, but waited until midnight, and she didn't come home. Instead, there was the first post of her life on social media. A picture of her and Michael kissing under a brilliant fireworks display. Looking at that photo, I felt the blood in my body turn cold. My heart felt constricted. I still held a sliver of hope, and called her. But the person who answered was Michael. Who is it? Calling without saying anything? Who is this person named Thomas? A moment later, Antonella's familiar gentle voice rang out. It's no one important. Don't worry about it, go back to sleep. In that moment, I understood. It was time for me to leave this stage. I packed my things, intending to leave, but ran into her at the door. Seeing me holding my luggage, her eyes flickered slightly, but she didn't try to stop me. Have you found a place to stay? Yes, it's the old apartment. I rented it back for a month. Hearing that, Antonella slightly frowned. 1 month? I was about to explain. But she put on an indifferent expression. I'll drive you. I wanted to refuse. But she was insistent. The snow is heavy, and it's late. If something happens to you, Lionel will be upset. I reluctantly got into the car. This car had witnessed so many crazy memories. But now I hardly recognized it anymore. The car was filled with supercar models. The backseat had soft blankets. The interior lights were sparkling and bright. I couldn't imagine someone like her, cold and strong, turning the car into this. Perhaps noticing my gaze, Antonella quietly said, Michael likes it this way. I understood. After a long silence, I quietly said, You finally waited for him to come back. CEO Antonella, I am truly happy for you. Antonella didn't expect me to say that. Antonella's eyes slightly wavered, and she said nothing more. The car drove halfway. Michael called, saying he wanted to invite her to build a snowman. She immediately pulled the car to the side, intending to leave right away. But when she glanced at me, who was still sitting next to her, she paused, her eyes clearly showing hesitation. I knew what she was debating, so I proactively opened the car door. Ms. Antonella, I can take a taxi back myself. Antonella quietly, Hamed, got out of the car to help me with my luggage. My hand slipped slightly, and the box fell to the ground. Under the streetlights, she bent down and saw what scattered onto the snow. The love letters I had written for her but never dared to send. The pictures I had secretly taken. And even some items she had thrown away, which I had secretly collected and kept. My heart nearly stopped. I hurriedly picked them up, flustered and trembling. I'm sorry, Ms. Antonella. She didn't say anything, just stood there silently for a few seconds. Then turned and got into the car, driving away immediately after. I stood in the snow, waiting for a long time, but couldn't catch a ride. I had no choice but to hug the box and walk home. But I hadn't gone far when I was hit by an electric scooter. My calf was torn in a long gash of more than 20 centimeters. Blood staining the white snow red. I watched the hit-and-run driver speed away, in so much pain that I gasped for cold air. Falling onto the snow, unable to stand up for a long time. It took me 4 hours of crawling to finally reach the old rented apartment. After treating my own wound, I opened my phone and saw a new message from Antonella, sent after she left. Never love someone so much that you forget yourself. There are plenty of women in this world. Don't hang yourself on one tree. I stared at those words for a long time. When dawn broke, I went downstairs and lit a fire to burn that box of belongings. The love I had cherished for 8 years also turned to ash in that moment. Antonella, I will do as you wish. After resting for 2 days over the weekend, I still arrived at the company on time on Monday morning. I handled my work as usual, then went to report to her. Ms. Antonella, the meeting starts in 10 minutes. As I approached the office door, through the slightly ajar gap, I saw Michael tightly hugging her, feeding her half of a cookie he had just taken a bite of. The woman who was notoriously obsessed with cleanliness was actually smiling gently, obediently eating that piece of cookie, and lightly kissing his finger. I remember you said you craved this sweet treat yesterday. I waited in line for over 3 hours this morning to buy it. Try it, is it good? It's delicious, she replied, smiling. Still perfectly sweet, not too rich. You used to make me travel far to buy you food. Now you're the CEO. Why are you still doing these things yourself? You could just ask your secretary to do it. Antonella smiled, gently stroked Michael's cheek. Her eyes so tender they seemed about to melt. When it comes to you, I only want to do things myself. I don't want to rely on anyone else. Michael laughed, proactively hugged her, and kissed her on the lips. She also put her arms around him, returning the kiss. I stood outside the door, watching that scene. My breath suddenly caught. A stabbing pain spread across my chest. My hands clenched until they were white, only stopping when my palms began to bleed. Time passed minute by minute. The meeting was about to begin. I took a deep breath and gently knocked on the door. Ms. Antonella, it's time for the meeting. Hearing my voice, Antonella briefly paused, about to stand up. But Michael pulled her back. Don't go, stay a little longer. She smiled softly, her eyes holding an unprecedented softness. Okay. Then she spoke coldly toward the outside. The meeting is postponed for 2 hours. That was an important meeting, related to a cooperation project between 3 major corporations, directly affecting the future of the company. I understood that, so I still whispered a reminder. The CEOs of Tesla, Apple, and Samsung are all present in the conference room. Oh my God, Antonella. Your secretary is so annoying. He doesn't know anything. Michael's voice was playfully affectionate. Hearing that, Antonella's face turned cold. I said it, nothing is more important than Michael. My chest tightened, even breathing was difficult. But I still just bowed my head, closed the door, and silently turned away. From then on, everyone in the company knew. The woman who used to be so work-obsessed that she held online meetings immediately after surgery, now dared to postpone such an important meeting for a man. It was the first time in her life she had done this. Only for Michael. Did she really love him that much? I lowered my head, trying to calm down, and entered the conference room to apologize to the representative directors. Even though they didn't dare to complain openly, disappointed glances were still subtly exchanged among them. Afterward, Antonella vented all her anger on me. I could only lower my head and endure it, not daring to resist. Until the meeting ended. My legs felt numb and exhausted before I was allowed to leave. Before I could rest, Michael called, his voice half teasing. You're Thomas, right? I heard Antonella say your coffee is excellent. Everyone must be tired. Go make a cup for everyone in the room. For mine, remember no sugar. I clearly understood he was deliberately trying to humiliate me. But I couldn't argue. So I went to the pantry to make over 400 cups of coffee. It took nearly 2 hours for me to painstakingly carry out the trays one by one. But when Michael took the first sip, his face immediately darkened. Then he threw the cup straight at my forehead. The hard ceramic mug hit with force, and blood immediately gushed out. Before I could react, he grabbed a few more cups and threw them continuously. Blow after blow landed on me. The cups shattered, the porcelain shards cutting my skin. Hot and cold coffee mixed with blood splattering all over the floor. I could only curl up, covering my head and chest, not daring to make a sound. The entire office was silent. No one dared to step in to stop him. They just backed away, avoiding Michael's rage. The loud noise was enough to make Antonella come out. Seeing the chaotic scene, the shattered floor, me lying sprawled and injured, she slightly frowned. What's going on? Michael immediately changed his expression, feigning innocence. Antonella, I just asked your secretary to make me a cup of coffee. I have a sensitive stomach and he still put ice in the cup. I can barely take it anymore. Seeing the corners of Michael's eyes turn red, Antonella's expression immediately darkened. You've been with me for 4 years. Can't you even do such a small thing right? Or do you still have an issue with Michael? So you deliberately targeted him? I raised my pale face, wanting to open my mouth to explain. But she didn't give me a chance. She directly called an assistant over. Thomas violated company regulations. Deduct all his salary this month and quarterly bonus. Also issue an internal notice. Next week during the big meeting, he must conduct a self-criticism in front of all employees. After saying that, Antonella helped Michael leave the office. I watched their receding figures. The anger I had suppressed for so long finally subsided. I struggled to stand up, gritting my teeth against the pain, and took a broom and mop to clean up the broken cups. Wiping the scattered coffee off the floor, a few kind colleagues came to help, their eyes full of sympathy for me. I clearly heard him say, "The young master asked for extra ice, no sugar. Now he's blaming you. Truly shameless. Thomas, did you offend him somehow? Why bother offending him?" I've heard many people say, "Michael is naturally short-tempered and arrogant. He loses his temper whenever he's displeased. But because he has Ms. Antonella backing him, no one dares to touch him." Another person sighed, "I've never seen Ms. Antonella treat anyone so well. Thomas, you need to be more careful at work from now on. You're just an ordinary person. You can't fight against that kind of rich young master. Moreover, he has Ms. Antonella protecting him. Even if you're wronged, you can only be a punching bag for someone to vent their anger on." I knew they were speaking out of kindness. But after hearing it, my heart was still in turmoil. Choked up, unable to say a word. I remembered a time before. A contract I was in charge of had a problem. The fault lay with the partner. But they shifted all the responsibility onto me. Amidst the pressure and criticism, Antonella still believed I was innocent, and resolutely stood up to defend me, finally helping me clear my name. And now, as long as Michael says one sentence, she doesn't even need to verify it, and hastily blames me for everything. I had worked diligently, handling countless troubles for her. Yet in the end, she wouldn't even give me a little trust? Or in her eyes, right and wrong were no longer important. As long as Michael was happy, then everything was acceptable? Thinking of this, my heart ached so much I felt breathless. I finished cleaning everything up and went home, my body exhausted. Right after taking a shower, the phone rang again. Antonella called. "Bring some stomach medicine and a heating pad over here." I immediately prepared and rushed to her villa. Having not been here for 2 or 3 days, the familiar villa seemed to have completely changed. The peach tree her father planted years ago had been pulled out, replaced by a row of Dutch junipers. Everything in the house, the minimalist black and white furniture from before, was now all changed to a light blue color, which I knew well was the color Antonella hated the most. The display cabinet was filled with jewelry, car keys, gifts, all in Michael's style. I stood watching for a long time, then walked to the brightly lit bedroom, and gently knocked on the door. Before long, she opened the door, took the items from my hand, and looked up with a fleeting glance. When she saw the wound on my face after washing off the coffee, she paused slightly. "It's that serious? Have you been to the hospital?" I just shook my head. She gently rubbed her forehead, her voice rarely softened. "You know, I wasn't feeling well that day. I didn't intentionally take out my anger on you. Don't take it to heart. The deducted salary, I will compensate for it in your year-end bonus. Go to the hospital for a checkup later. If the injury is serious, take a few days off. I'll approve the leave, no need to go through the procedure." I quietly replied, "No need, I will, at the end of this month." I intended to say, "will resign." But before I could, she cut me off, handing me a card. "Just listen to me. Now I need you to help me prepare a welcoming party for Michael. Rest up, and do a good job." The unfinished words could only be swallowed in my throat. I quietly agreed, took the card, and turned to leave the villa. Just as I reached the door, I heard Michael's voice echoing from the room. "Antonella, where's the medicine? Can you come here and help me warm up a bit? You lie still, don't move, I'm coming right away." Her voice was soft as water, but my heart felt frozen. I laughed. A soundless laugh. Only a bitter taste remained, reaching the depths of my eyes. Leaving the villa, I went to the hospital, got a basic dressing, and went home to rest for a few days. Not long after, the assistant sent me the plan for the welcoming party. From the selection of flowers, cakes, to the attire of the serving staff, every detail was extremely meticulous. I only had 3 days to prepare. I had to try my best, burying myself in work, forgetting to eat and sleep. That evening, precisely at 7 o'clock, the party began. Michael appeared in a high-end suit, stepping into the midst of the dazzling lights and the admiring gazes of the crowd. Everyone immediately rushed over to greet him, showering him with compliments. After many years, young Master Michael is still as dashing as ever. Still the glamorous, noble demeanor. The aura around him made everyone envious. Even the welcoming party is held so solemnly. It seems CEO Antonella's feelings for you truly have never changed. Someone at the party laughed and said, I still remember in college. Someone confessed their feelings to Michael. Antonella found out and forced that person to transfer schools. Any love letter sent, she would tear it up when she saw it. Anyone who dared to speak ill of Michael, she would personally go and teach them a lesson, ordering people to break their bones. Everyone in the circle knows Michael is Antonella's first love, and also the person she cherishes like a treasure in her heart. Look at the jewelry he's wearing. It must be tens of millions. And that ceremonial suit is exclusively tailor-made. There's only one set like it in the world. To keep Michael happy, Antonella never spares any expense. I stood silently in the far corner, just listening quietly, not saying a word. Michael walked over. A triumphant smile, his eyes clearly showing contempt. The party arrangement is decent, but there are still some issues. The main hall doesn't have a carpet. My shoes got dirty, so you clean them for me. Consider it compensation for the mistake. I bowed my head, my voice calm, neither submissive nor resistant. Please wait a moment, young Master Michael. I will have someone lay down a carpet immediately. Seeing that I still dared to refuse, his face immediately darkened. Just then, Antonella walked in. Seeing Michael unhappy, she immediately asked gently, What's wrong, Michael? My shoes are dirty. I asked your secretary to clean them, but he refused. Is he still resentful about the last time? Hearing that, Antonella's eyes darkened, sweeping towards me. It's just cleaning shoes. That's also your job. How long have you been my secretary? Can't you handle such a small matter? The guests around started murmuring, their voices mocking, half joking, half serious. I clenched my fists, swallowing the humiliation, bent down, and used my sleeve to wipe Michael's shoes clean. He pulled Antonella's hand, walked around with a triumphant smile, deliberately making me follow with my head bowed. His shoes were custom made. Each step picked up more dust. I had to keep bending down, my back aching to the point of numbness, but I had to endure it. But Michael was still not satisfied. He waved for someone to bring wine, raised an eyebrow and said, I don't want to drink today. But the esteemed guests have shown respect by attending. It would be impolite to refuse. So you drink on my behalf. I'm allergic to alcohol. I was about to explain, when Michael turned to Antonella and whined. Antonella, you know, I get allergic as soon as I drink alcohol. But to make me happy, shouldn't you also give me some face? Antonella frowned slightly, then said coldly, Don't you always carry your allergy medicine? Take the medicine and then drink the wine. It should be fine. Be obedient. That tone did not allow me to refuse. I only felt my heart turn cold. My face became paler. Yet I still had to force myself to raise the glass. 1 glass, then 2 glasses, 3 glasses. The burning wine slid down my throat, my stomach cramping in spasms. My head felt dizzy. My vision blurred, everything seemed to be spinning. Just as I was about to collapse, I heard Michael's voice ring out. Antonella, the button you gave me is missing. The only person who came near me was him. He must have stolen it. That false accusation jolted me awake. I tried to say, Antonella, it wasn't me. Antonella looked at Michael's flushed face, then looked at me, heavily drunk, her eyes momentarily hesitant. Maybe it fell somewhere, I'll have someone look for it. But Michael was insistent. If not him, then who? That was a gift from you. And you're defending him? If you don't have him searched, then don't look for me again. He angrily tried to walk away. Antonella hurriedly pulled him back, her face icy as she commanded. Security, search him. In just a second, several security guards rushed over, forcing me to the ground, tearing my shirt, even pulling off my shoes. My skin was scratched. Bruises were scattered. Humiliation surged up to my throat. I didn't take it, it really wasn't me. I cried out. But the response was only stronger pulling. Just then, a few serving staff ran over, trembling as they held up the sparkling button. We found it. It fell on the stairs. In that moment, all eyes focused on them. Antonella let out a soft breath, waved her hand, telling the security to stop, then personally picked up the button. Her voice softened. It's found, don't be angry anymore, okay? Michael smiled, leaned into her shoulder, his voice gentle. That's great, luckily it was found. Otherwise I would have been very upset. But, your secretary was wronged like this. Should I apologize to him? All eyes turned to me. My shirt torn to shreds, my body covered in wounds. Amidst that extreme humiliation, I heard Antonella's indifferent voice. No need. He's just a secretary. Being wronged a little is no big deal. A short sentence. Yet it was like a knife stabbing straight into my heart. The heart that was already full of cracks was torn open again. The pain was suffocating. The sound of people gradually disappeared. Only the cold, white light, shining on the lonely figure, standing silently in the empty party hall, was me. The lights shone down, clearly illuminating every wound on my body. I suppressed the pain, slowly crawled up, picked up the coat that a kind female employee had left next to me, put it on, and stumbled out of there. Outside, the rain poured down. I didn't bother to take shelter, just walked into the cold curtain of rain. The raindrops plopped onto my face, then trailed down my cheeks, looking no different from tears. But I had no more tears left to cry. I didn't know where I should go. Just aimlessly walked through the streets, letting my feet guide me. Before long, a car stopped beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Antonella's beautiful, cold face. Get in the car. Her voice was hoarse, carrying a hint of command. I acted as if I hadn't heard, continuing to drag my feet through the rain, each step heavy. Get in the car. Antonella's voice became stern, with a touch of impatience. I stopped, raised my pale face, devoid of any color, and looked at her. Don't trouble yourself with concern. I'm just a secretary, Ms. Antonella. My voice was cold as ice, but it made her heart slightly tremble. She pushed open the car door, disregarding the rain and wind, ran over and tightly grasped my arm. Tonight's incident is my fault. I didn't handle it well. But I've already lost Michael once. I can't lose him again. I will find a way to compensate for what you endured today. Don't be angry with me because of this, okay? I shook her hand off, my voice hoarse, deep and low. Ms. Antonella is joking. Someone like me wouldn't dare to be angry with you or Mr. Michael. Before, I was foolish, thinking I was special. But now I understand, I am just a secretary. From now on I will always remember that. Rest assured. I will never interfere with your life again. So, are you satisfied? Can you let me go now? The more she listened, the angrier Antonella became. She clenched her fist tightly, her voice trembling. You know I don't mean that. I've never looked down on you. I only said those words to appease Michael. She said something else. But my ears were ringing. I couldn't hear clearly. The scenery in front of me gradually blurred, heavy as if lead was pressing down on my eyes. My whole body lost all strength. Then I collapsed, sinking into darkness. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. My clothes had been changed. Medicine and warm water were placed on the bedside table. A nurse was adjusting the IV line, and smiled when she saw me open my eyes. You're awake? Your girlfriend was so worried. She stayed here watching over you all night, and just left. I gently curved my lips, my voice hoarse. She is not my girlfriend. Never was. Antonella and I, from start to finish, were just a mistake. She never acknowledged me, beyond the title of male secretary. Before, I used to dream of a future. Now I only wish I could wake up from this dream and leave forever. I stayed in the hospital for a few days, Antonella didn't visit. She only had her assistant message me, saying, I should rest up and come back to work when I feel better. After recovering, I was discharged from the hospital. The company group chat was bustling with news. Antonella and Michael. She rented out Disneyland for a week to celebrate his birthday. Set off fireworks for 3 consecutive days. Introduced him to her family. Gave him the jade pendant of the future son-in-law. Bought land to build a private ski resort, named after his surname. I read it all, only finding my heart calm. I returned to work as if nothing had happened. Handling my tasks thoroughly and carefully. Any matters related to Antonella, I asked other colleagues to take over. A week later, she called for me. After I finished handing over the documents and was about to leave. She said, I'm about to go into a meeting. Michael doesn't like eating alone. Stay here and eat with him. I froze. About to refuse when Michael looked up and said, I want to eat shrimp. Peel a plate for me. Antonella closed the conference room door, so I reluctantly walked to the dining table. After peeling a plate of shrimp, he ordered someone to bring out a tray of walnuts and jackfruit. I want to have fruit for dessert. But there are no tools. Use your hands. I looked at the hard shell and the sharp thorns, my heart sinking. I knew he was deliberately tormenting me. But I still had to grit my teeth and comply. When I finished cracking the walnuts and removing the jackfruit flesh, my hands were bleeding, red in a large area. Michael still didn't stop, asking me to go to the kitchen and bring out hot soup. The soup had just been cooked, steaming heavily. I couldn't hold it, my hands burned. A slight slip, the entire bowl of soup spilled onto me. The burning pain made my skin blister. I bit my lip tightly to suppress a groan. Before Michael could even pretend to be surprised, the room door burst open. Antonella stepped out, and frowned upon seeing the scene. What is going on here? Michael immediately feigned distress. He spilled the soup, and burned me. Look at my hand, it's all red. Antonella quickly ran over, worriedly grabbing his hand. Where? Let me see, does it hurt? She saw only a few minor burns, and frowned. Why are you so careless in your work? Michael has never suffered pain since childhood. Yet you managed to injure him? She turned to scold me for a few sentences. But as her eyes swept past, seeing the burns and scratches on my body, her voice softened, unwilling to say more. She only helped Michael up. Let's go to the hospital for a checkup. Before leaving, she glanced back at me, her voice cold. You come along too, might as well get your wounds treated. In the car, Antonella drove very fast. Michael occasionally let out soft groans. She worriedly turned to look at him, asking questions with concern. But precisely the moment she turned her head, the car in the opposite lane swerved towards us. The ear-splitting crash echoed. My body slammed hard against the car door. It felt like my entire ribcage was crushed. Blood gushed out, staining my vision red. Amidst the dizziness, I only saw Antonella rush to hug Michael in a panic, trying to pull him out of the car. The ambulance siren wailed. Then someone's urgent voice. Ma'am, the man in the back is bleeding severely. He needs to be rushed to the hospital immediately. Otherwise his life will be in danger. No. Michael must be taken to the hospital first. I cannot let anything happen to him. Michael's life is more important than anything. That panicked scream was the last sound I heard before falling into the deep darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Lionel, my best friend. His eyes red, his voice trembling. I just got back to the country and heard you were in an accident. The doctor said you lost a lot of blood and almost didn't make it. I was worried sick. I tried to force a smile, but tears welled up again. It's okay, I'm fine. The two of us were silent for a long time. He poured me a glass of water, trying to change the subject. Have you been doing well living in the country these past few years? My sister didn't make things difficult for you, did she? I heard you have a girlfriend. When will you introduce her to me? If she ever dares to treat you badly, I will definitely find you a prettier one. I froze, my smile stiff. Ms. Antonella didn't make things difficult for me. And the girlfriend, we broke up. He patted my shoulder, chuckling. It's all right, it's okay. As people say, a breakup is fine. The next one will be prettier. I know many beauties. I'll introduce them all to you. Before he finished speaking, the hospital room door was pushed open. Antonella walked in with a cold face. Introduce what? You are not allowed to introduce anyone. All the girls you know are frivolous. None of them are suitable. Hearing her sister's firm rejection, Lionel immediately frowned. Frivolous what, sis? Can you stop talking nonsense? They've only dated 2 or 3 people. Do you think everyone is like you? Forever clinging to that effeminate Michael? And you're trying to interfere with introducing a girlfriend to my best friend. Why do you want to meddle in everything? Hearing that, Antonella's anger flared up, her voice full of fury. I said no introductions allowed. Feelings can't be forced. Don't arbitrarily set a path for him. Right, feelings can't be forced. I smiled silently, gestured to Lionel, and looked calmly at Antonella. Lionel was just joking. CEO Antonella, is there anything you need? Seeing that I was safe, Antonella let out a small sigh of relief. She was about to say, to visit me, but changed her mind. It's nothing. Lionel heard you were in trouble, and came straight to the hospital as soon as he got off the plane. I came to call him home and check on the situation. Sis, I'll go home tonight, you go first. As soon as I heard that, Lionel said sternly, my best friend is seriously injured like this. You are not allowed to arrange any more work for him. After saying that, he chased Antonella out, leaving only the 2 of us in the room. Lionel started talking about Antonella's good deeds again. Don't think my sister is strict, but she's very good to you. I heard you almost died yesterday. She personally arranged all the blood transfusions to save you. Hearing this, I was stunned, but quickly regained my composure. She arranged the blood transfusion just because she didn't want me to die. But if one person between Michael and me had to die, that person would definitely be me. So I no longer had any delusions about her. During my last days at the corporation, I stayed in the hospital to recover from my injuries. The nurses came to check, and occasionally mentioned the VIP room on the floor above, saying that CEO Antonella had rented the entire floor, invited several retired professors to care for her boyfriend. I had seen it many times. Antonella personally brought tea and poured water for her boyfriend, bought gifts to make him happy, stayed up all night by his bedside. Such intense love. I silently listened to the gossip, my hand touching my heart, feeling nothing, only noticing the rhythm slowing down. It seemed the wound in my heart was also close to healing. On the day of my discharge, Lionel intended to pick me up, but was tied up with family matters. I comforted him with a few words and returned to the company alone. Today was my last day of work. According to the procedure, I completed the resignation formalities. I carried my suitcase, preparing to leave the building. But at the elevator door, I ran into Michael. He held a cup of coffee, and intentionally bumped into me. Can't you watch where you're going? You've stained my shirt many times. It was clearly intentional. Michael directed and acted in his own play. Then called security, forcing me to kneel in front of the headquarters to apologize. I refused to submit. He became even more vicious, spilling the remaining coffee on my face. What are you looking at? Resentful? Let me tell you, Antonella only has me in her heart. No matter what I do, she'll indulge me. Don't even think about getting a minor secretary like you punished. After saying that, he left with satisfaction. The security guards pulled me downstairs, forcing me to kneel. I struggled continuously, but couldn't escape. The only way was to try to reason with them. I have resigned. I am no longer Antonella's secretary. Why are you forcing me to kneel? But the security guards were cold and unmoving. Ms. Antonella instructed that Mr. Michael's will is her will. Any request must be followed. Mr. Secretary, save those words for Ms. Antonella. I knew, saying anything more would be useless, so I gave up. People passing by, east and west, secretly whispered. Some even took photos. In the middle of the cold winter, I knelt outside for 7 hours straight. My knees were scraped, my face was bruised. Shivering constantly, only my will remained to resist. When work ended, my mind was slightly hazy. Suddenly I heard someone call my name. I strained to lift my head and saw Lionel rushing over. Thomas, you just got discharged from the hospital. Why are you kneeling like this? Who intentionally tormented you? My throat was dry. I instinctively recognized it was Michael. Hearing that name, Lionel was furious, helped me stand up, and rushed into Antonella's office. Michael, don't go too far. What did he do to you? Why did you force him to kneel? He's my sister's secretary. He has nothing to do with you. What game are you playing? Antonella was also in the room. Seeing my miserable state, before she could ask anything, Michael hugged her waist. My love, I have no feud with the secretary. How could I possibly force him to kneel? Hearing Michael shift the blame, I was so enraged that I rushed forward and punched him 10 times. You dare to falsely accuse me? I've never lied. Michael, for the first time, was so upset he sobbed uncontrollably. Antonella, your secretary is falsely accusing me. And even your brother is helping him bully me? Are you people a family? Let's break up. Hearing that, Antonella's face turned pale. Then she stood up coldly, raised her hand and slapped Lionel. Enough, Lionel. How long are you going to keep messing around? Michael is your brother-in-law. Then she looked at me coldly. Thomas, why are you acting so unreasonably? If you don't want to be a secretary, then quit. Lionel covered his face, his expression filled with shock as he looked at his sister. I regretted dragging him into this, and quickly pulled him out of there. Lionel was angry, still wanting to go back and argue for me. I had no choice but to tell him that I had resigned and decided to leave everything in this city. Hearing I was leaving, Lionel was both regretful and sad, no longer in the mood to cause trouble, pulling me and asking endlessly, "Can you not go?" I just patted his shoulder softly. Nothing in this world is forever. Lionel's eyes immediately became red-rimmed. On the last night of this life, the two of us went out for a final round of beer, full of regret and emotion. That night, Lionel didn't go home, staying in my small rental to drink with me. I promised him, even when I go home, I would contact him every day. And if I found a prospective wife, I would let him know immediately. All night, we talked about the present and the future. When dawn broke, he took me to the airport. As we were saying goodbye, a message from Antonella arrived, asking where Lionel was. Lionel was still angry about last night's incident, about to call and scold her. I quickly stopped him. Forget it, let the past be the past. Don't let Michael and me cause conflicts between you two anymore. She truly loves him. He will be your brother-in-law. You guys must live in harmony. Hearing that, Lionel gritted his teeth in anger again. Soon enough, it was time for me to board the plane. Lionel and I waved goodbye. Then I walked through the boarding gate. Before getting on, I sent one last message to Antonella. 8 years of secret love. 4 years of madness. It all ends here. CEO Antonella. From now on I am no longer your secretary. Nor do I love you anymore. We go our separate ways. No need to meet again in this life. After sending it, I didn't care for a response. Blocked all contact. Then boarded the plane without looking back. The moment the message was sent, Antonella was drying her hair. Hearing the phone ring, she was about to grab it when Michael quickly took it first. I'll check it for you. He shook the phone, smiling happily. Antonella couldn't do anything, she just smiled. Okay. His fingerprint was already set up for the phone's recognition. When Michael opened it, he saw the message, his eyes briefly showed contempt, and he deleted it with his finger. On his first day back in the country, he already knew about the relationship between Antonella and me. In his eyes, it was all just my unrequited love. Everyone knew Antonella was a deeply devoted lover. Loving him profoundly, how could she like someone else? He deleted the message, and also deleted the cooperative business email. At this moment, Antonella finished drying her hair. With the scent of fragrant body wash, she leaned against him, hugging him tightly. What was the message? Michael turned to answer, putting the phone aside. Don't worry about annoying messages. Can we continue? He smiled, his warm body pressed against Antonella. She nodded, not paying attention to the phone, and hugged him onto the bed. A night of passion passed. Antonella was still sleeping. Her phone rang. She was about to ignore it, but the ringing bothered Michael. "Aren't you working today?" Antonella lowered her voice. "What is it?" "It's the weekend today. There's no schedule." On the other end was another secretary, sounding panicked. "The partner sent an email yesterday. They are coming for a meeting today. They are already here, waiting for the CEO." Antonella was fully awake, quickly changed her clothes. Frowning. "Why wasn't I informed of such an important matter? If the company incurs losses, can you all bear it? Tell him to come pick me up." Antonella thought I was still angry and neglecting my work. The secretary was slightly stunned, and cautiously said, "CEO Antonella, Secretary Thomas has resigned." It was like a bolt from the blue. Antonella tightly gripped the phone. "When did that happen? Did I permit him to resign?" "He must return immediately. Until I approve it, he is not allowed to resign." Antonella no longer paid attention to Michael on the bed, and shouted furiously, "How dare Thomas resign just because of these minor issues? He said I was the most important person in his life. That the past hurts would be compensated later. Why did Thomas resign silently?" Her eyes darkened, clearly reaching the extreme of her anger, frightening the secretary on the other end to the point of trembling, not daring to speak. When she was about to lose her patience, a strong arm wrapped around Antonella's waist. "What's wrong, my love, Antonella?" Michael looked like he had just woken up. Seeing him, Antonella couldn't help but lower her voice. "Don't worry about work matters. Go back to sleep." Antonella intended to go to the company, so as not to upset the partners. But Michael didn't care. Hugged her into his arms, lay on the bed, waiting for her to lull him to sleep. Half an hour later, the phone was full of calls from the secretary. Antonella gently pressed to answer. "Postpone today's meeting until the afternoon." The secretary quickly replied, "They have already left. All contracts have been cancelled." Antonella frowned, but looking into the eyes of the person in her arms, everything seemed worthwhile. She smiled lightly, thinking about the inconsistencies from the secretary. Antonella opened her email. There were no new messages. She remembered Michael checked her phone last night, and quietly checked the trash bin. Then Antonella's face turned pale, and she gritted her teeth. She opened the trash bin on her computer. Inside were a few important cooperation emails. The sending time was last night, when she hadn't yet checked her phone. And last night, the only person who had touched her phone was Michael. Antonella's heart suddenly went cold. That person knew nothing about work. Yet he arbitrarily deleted her emails. Because of this, the company lost at least a large portion of its profit. And today was an important meeting day. And Thomas hadn't informed her at all. In the past, even if the email had been sent, I would always prepare the documents for her in the morning. If I hadn't been angry last night, if it weren't for that bit of childish pride, how could they have lost the partner? She dialed my number, intending to ask for clarification. But no one answered. No matter how many times she called, she only heard the cold electronic voice repeatedly. A feeling of unease rose in her heart. She reopened the trash bin, carefully examining each file, then suddenly saw the message I had sent last night. She pressed restore. The message appeared, cold and glaring. 8 years of secret love. 4 years of foolishness. It all ends here. Ms. Antonella, from now on I am no longer your secretary. Nor do I love you anymore. We go our separate ways. No need to meet again in this life. Antonella was stunned. Logically speaking, she should have felt relieved. Because I, the one who had obsessed over her for years, had finally let go. No more clinging. No more hanging myself on one tree. But when she truly faced my departure, her heart felt constricted. A sharp pain spread, as if losing something important that she had never realized. Memories flooded back. 4 years ago, due to an accident, we ended up in bed together. At that time, she only had Michael in her heart, only wanting to use money to send me away, her brother's best friend. She never thought there would be any beginning between us. But when she saw my eyes, bright, cautious, like a wild beast afraid to come near. She couldn't bring herself to be cruel. So she let everything happen. We were intimate everywhere. Every corner bore traces of each other. Throughout 4 years, I was the most dedicated secretary. And also the most considerate lover. Never asking for anything, just quietly caring. Willing to be her shadow. Antonella once thought, "He's so foolish. Daring to pour out his whole heart just for a little tenderness from me." She told me not to dream of a future. Because she only belonged to one person, Michael. Now her wish had been granted. Getting rid of the annoying tail, that was me. Yet, why wasn't her heart happy at all? She stared at the message for a long time. Finally putting down the phone. Well, if he leaves, he leaves. Perhaps this is the path for each of us. She closed her eyes, hugging Michael in her arms. Trying to go back to sleep. But her chest felt heavy. To shake off that feeling, she pushed all work aside. Spending several days going out with Michael. Whatever he liked, watches, luxury cars, she bought without hesitation. But the more she indulged him, the more uneasy she felt inside. A vague sadness lingered, refusing to dissipate. Michael didn't notice it, still happily enjoying the trips. One afternoon, when Michael hadn't returned, Antonella quietly opened her phone and went into the chat with me. The last message was a month ago. Since Michael returned, she had never contacted me again. Her fingers trembled, then slowly typed out each word. "You can come back anytime. And continue to be my secretary." She thought of it as a ladder for me to climb down. But immediately, a glaring red notification popped up. "The user has blocked you." Antonella froze, her hands shaking. Her eyes glued to the screen, unblinking. When Michael returned, he asked with a smile, "Antonella, have you been waiting long for me? Shall we go see the Aurora Borealis tomorrow?" He wore a casual shirt. Reached out and hugged her. She forced a smile, but her eyes were tired. "I have to go back to the company tomorrow," she said. "There's a lot of work piled up. I'll go with you after I've handled it." Michael frowned slightly, showing his displeasure. "Fine, then I'll go with you. I'll help you, Antonella." He smiled, and she just nodded slightly. Feeling empty inside, Antonella tried to push away my image. When she arrived at the company, the secretaries rushed out. "Ms. Antonella, you're finally back. This is the latest profit and loss report. This is the list of partners who want to cancel their contracts. And this is the HR file. Several veteran employees are discussing resigning." Antonella's face darkened. She had only been away from the company for a few days. Yet the situation was already a mess. She took the stack of files, read a few pages, then threw them forcefully onto the floor. "What kind of work are you people doing? I was gone for a few days and the losses are this bad? Couldn't anyone retain those partners?" Thud. The stack of documents hit the table. The sound made the whole room fall silent. After a moment, a secretary whispered, "These tasks were all handled by Thomas before." Antonella reflexively started to call my name. Then remembered, I had already left. Her expression became even gloomier. "The things Thomas could do, you all must also be able to do," she said coldly. No one dared to answer. They knew well that over the past 4 years, I had done everything perfectly. To the point where no one could replace me. The atmosphere was tense. Michael approached, his voice gentle. "Don't be angry, Antonella. It's just losing one secretary. Let me do it, I'll definitely do better than him." Antonella forced a smile. "Then I'll rely on you, Michael. From now on, everyone just listen to him." She left, carrying a pile of documents that needed approval. As soon as she was out of sight, Michael immediately changed his expression. He swept his eyes over the secretaries. Then suddenly slapped a male employee hard. "What was your intention standing so close to Antonella just now? Trying to seduce her?" The whole room was stunned. The secretaries trembled as they defended themselves. No. We were just working. Please don't talk nonsense." But Michael didn't listen, ordering the security guards to drag all of them out and forbid them from setting foot in the company again. He then went to change into a tight-fitting business suit. His white shirt slightly unbuttoned, revealing hickeys on his neck. He knocked on the door, and entered when he heard Antonella's voice. "Antonella." He took her hand, pulling her close. With work piling up, Antonella frowned and said softly, "Michael, what are you doing? I'm very busy right now. Don't bother me. Can we talk later?" But Michael didn't listen to her. His two hands braced on both sides of the chair, his voice hoarse and low. "Being busy can wait a little, Antonella." Then, his large hands traced a path from her collarbone downwards. Antonella's whole body went limp. A wave of numbness spreading from her spine throughout her body. She couldn't resist the temptation. Grabbing his collar, pulling him down, and kissing him. The room only became quiet again around noon. Michael's neck was covered in red marks, and Antonella's dress was wrinkled and disheveled. She glanced at the clock. It was this time already, and lunch still hadn't been brought. If it were me, I would certainly never forget about it. Her face darkened, and she immediately called a secretary. "What's going on? You even forgot lunch? Do you people not want to work anymore?" On the other end of the line, the secretary's voice was trembling. "Ms. Antonella, all of us were dismissed by Mr. Michael. We think it's probably time for this job to end. After all, we cannot endure what Thomas endured." The secretary's voice was helpless and exhausted. Antonella paused, and instinctively asked, "What about Thomas?" The secretary sighed, sent a file, and hung up. Antonella's heart was filled with confusion and fear. She opened the file. Inside was all the evidence proving that Michael had fabricated everything. Since he returned, all the things he accused me of were lies. The more she read, the more Antonella trembled. The emotions that had been suppressed for so long suddenly surged up. No longer able to be concealed. She hadn't expected Michael to do such things. And even less expected how much I had endured. Her heart felt like it stopped. Staring at the screen, every breath ached. Michael leaned back in the chair. Seeing her suddenly fall silent, he spoke up. "Antonella, what's wrong? Didn't you say you were going to call someone to bring lunch?" "I'm hungry." Antonella slowly turned around, her gaze no longer holding the same gentle affection as before. She looked at him, unable to believe what she was seeing. "Antonella?" Michael called again, his voice starting to sound strained. She spoke, her voice ice cold. "Why did you do this?" Michael froze. "What are you talking about, Antonella?" The next second, she almost screamed. "I asked you why you did it. Why did you falsely accuse Thomas?" Michael was intimidated by her tone. But when he heard my name, he immediately frowned. "Isn't he just a secretary? What's the big deal that you have to get so angry? Didn't you yourself say he was just your employee?" His voice was full of self-justification. But Antonella felt hollow inside. He was right, she was the one who told me to leave. Yet now, she was this angry because of me. Michael stepped closer, trying to hug her. "Don't be angry, Antonella, shall we go eat?" But his voice only made Antonella more agitated. Her mind was full of my image. And the look in my eyes when I left. Thinking of that, her heart twisted. She pushed Michael away. "If you want to eat, go eat yourself, I'm not in the mood." The push wasn't strong. But Michael staggered back a few steps, his eyes wide, in disbelief. The woman who had been so gentle and obedient to him these past few days was now pushing him away. Because of a male secretary who had resigned. His anger flared. "Antonella, what are you doing? Treating me like this because of Thomas? What's next? Are you going to break up with me and go look for him?" Those words made Antonella's chest ache, making it hard to breathe. She couldn't understand herself. I had left. She should have felt relieved. Because the relationship between her and me should never have begun. But at this moment, she could only clench her fists. And manage to say, "I'm just too tired. You go eat." Michael snorted coldly, turned, and walked away. Only Antonella remained in the office. Looking at the messy files, her headache was unbearable. She didn't call anyone to bring food. Just buried herself in work to forget everything. From afternoon until evening, she dealt with all the issues in the company. It was ironic. More than half of them were caused by Michael himself. And now she had to clean up the mess. She leaned back in her chair, sighing. It was already dark outside the window. She looked at her phone, not a single message. A sense of emptiness and loneliness surged up. She was the only one left in the company now. Unable to restrain herself, she softly called out, "Thomas." It was the first time since I left that she had spoken my name aloud. Those 3 syllables were like a spell. As soon as they were uttered, she remembered countless memories between us. No matter how late at night, I was always there for her, preparing everything perfectly. She remembered the nights by the window, when I blushed with passion, my innocent eyes, making her want to tease me even more, making her unable to let go. Those memories rushed back, overwhelming her. Antonella couldn't take it anymore. She tightly gripped her phone and called her brother. The phone rang for a long time before being answered. Her voice was trembling. "Lionel, do you know where Thomas went?" On the other end of the line, a mocking laugh rang out. "Sis, with such deep love between you and Michael, why are you still looking for Thomas?" Antonella's throat tightened. "I know now. Those things before were all orchestrated by Michael. I just want to apologize to Thomas. To bring Michael along to meet him. I won't let anyone hurt him anymore." But before she finished speaking, the other end cut her off. "No need. Thomas doesn't need your apology anymore. And you don't ever expect to find him again in this life." Lionel finished his sentence and hung up. The cold beeping sound echoed. Antonella's chest was filled with regret and despair. She violently threw the phone onto the floor. Immediately after, the room door flew open. She stood up abruptly, startled, thinking the person she longed for had returned. "Thomas." She looked towards the door, her eyes full of hope. But the person who walked in was not me. It was Michael. Michael had obviously heard the name just now. His face momentarily distorted with jealousy. "I don't understand." His voice trembled. "Isn't he just a secretary? Why are you always defending him? Antonella, do you really like him?" That question echoed in the suffocating silence. Antonella didn't answer, she just looked at him. That look was as heavy as 1,000 words of confession. The person who burst in was not me. And Antonella's eyes immediately became distant. But seeing her demeanor only made Michael more furious. He was blinded by rage, shouting hysterically, "He's just a secretary. A useless low-life. I knew the very first day I came back that he didn't have good intentions towards you. It's better that that kind of person is gone. Antonella, didn't you say you only love me? What do you mean now? You're in love with him, aren't you?" Faced with Michael's endless accusations, Antonella's heart was a tangled mess. She could only remain silent. But Michael was used to being indulged. The more he was ignored, the more he hated me. He violently slammed the items on the desk. "I heard everything just now. You were asking where Thomas went. You even want to find him. And want him to come back. You really are in love with him." Having endured to the limit, Antonella's gaze at Michael no longer held any of the original affection. She completely didn't understand why she had ever liked a person like him. Unreasonable, obstinate, even forcing Thomas to leave. Thinking of this, Antonella couldn't hold back anymore. Her eyes red-rimmed, she spoke with a fierce intensity. "Yes, I love Thomas. So what? Do you know what you've been doing all this time? You chased away all my secretaries and arbitrarily deleted work emails on my phone, causing several partners to consider canceling contracts. In the company, I gave you authority, and you abused it to bully employees, causing them to collectively demand resignation. Do you know how much damage you've caused my company? I could overlook those things. But why did you have to pressure Thomas? You harmed him time and again. Which is why he couldn't bear it and left. You're right. I really do like Thomas. I love him. You were gone for so long. Thomas was the one by my side all these years. What gives you the right to talk about him like that?" She shouted, her eyes darkened, frightening Michael. But he still spoke stubbornly. "Just based on the fact that he's only a secretary. What the hell is he? Before he could finish, Antonella raised her hand and slapped him hard. The loud, sharp sound echoed. Michael was stunned. You dared to hit me? Michael couldn't believe it. You said you loved me. And now you're hitting me for a lowly secretary? But his words no longer had any effect. Having clearly realized her feelings, her eyes were filled with disgust as she looked at Michael. She clenched her hand and delivered another heavy slap. Michael's head was knocked askew, his face swelling and red. The fire in the woman's eyes hadn't subsided. Her voice was ice cold. The grievances that Thomas endured were much more than this. What if I hit you? I want you to apologize to him. Her eyes held no trace of softness. She now found Michael truly despicable. She had done so much for Michael, yet he constantly harmed Thomas. Antonella's fingers tightened, her expression making Michael tremble with fear. He had never seen her like this. She had always treated him well, indulging his every whim. It was all because of me, another man. Michael's eyes were full of hatred. He wished he could tear me apart. Antonella, of course, saw it, and only hated herself for not seeing Michael's true nature until now, allowing me to suffer so much. She gave a cold laugh, which made others shiver. Now, pay everything back to Thomas. Saying that, Antonella grabbed Michael and dragged him out. Her furious demeanor made Michael panic, forgetting all sense of dignity, struggling but unable to escape. He was dragged to the office door, where a few security guards stepped forward and held him tight. Since you enjoy making people kneel, then you can kneel until tomorrow morning. She ordered the security guards to watch over Michael, ignoring the sound of his begging behind her. She turned and walked away. Her mind was now completely filled with me. Once she admitted her love for me, she realized how wrong she had been. 4 years of being together. She had long been unable to leave me, but refused to admit it, only regretting it when I was lost. In the car, she slammed the steering wheel, frantically throwing out everything Michael had left behind. Those were all the things I disliked. She had to clean them out. From decorations, seat cushions, to the snacks he bought. Everything was thrown outside. But no matter how she looked at it, this car no longer held any memory. Between me and her, we had been passionate in this car countless times. Yet now she couldn't find a single trace. In that moment, Antonella's heart felt torn apart. She couldn't bear it, smashing the car until it was ruined to vent her anger. Then drove another car back to the villa. Even this place had been decorated in the style Michael liked. He had only been back for a month, but had already obscured the 4 years she and I shared. Antonella's eyes were red-rimmed. Standing in the villa, she felt suffocated. The eyesore decorations felt like cuts to her heart. She desperately searched for even a scrap of my clothing I might have left. But there was nothing left. The feeling of helplessness reached its peak. She could only smash everything to vent her frustration. She dared not rest. Every time she closed her eyes, I appeared. That day, she watched me pack my things without stopping me, allowing me to take everything away. She was tormented by pain, wishing she could go back in time to ask herself why she didn't do anything. Antonella sat and cried all night in the villa, clutching onto the last bit of warmth that belonged to me. By morning, the assistant arrived. Ms. Antonella, it's time to go to the company. Mr. Michael is waiting for you. The secretary gently reminded her. Antonella raised her red, swollen eyes. In her heart, all that remained was hatred. If it weren't for Michael, how could she have drifted apart from me? It was all his fault. Driving to the company, her voice was hoarse, almost breathless. Thomas. Hearing those 2 syllables, her throat tightened. When she arrived, it was right during rush hour. Employees were bustling in and out, and everyone's eyes were focused on a corner in the main hall. Michael was seen, his hair messy, his clothes wrinkled, being held down by security guards, kneeling before all eyes. He had been kneeling all night, his body shaking, on the verge of fainting. The scrutiny from the surroundings made his humiliation even greater. The once arrogant and glamorous Michael now only had resentment in his eyes. He screamed frantically. Thomas. You bastard. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you. How could Antonella treat me like this? You deserve to die. Why don't you just drop dead? Dared to seduce her. You shameless wretch. The ear-piercing curses made everyone around uncomfortable. A few colleagues who were close to me stepped out to defend me. Michael became even more enraged, turning to curse at them too. You idiots. You must have taken his money to defend him, right? Just then, Antonella strode quickly towards them. The crowd immediately parted to make way. Her eyes were cold, filled with disappointment and disgust as she looked at him. Michael saw her as a savior, hastily crawling to hug her leg, weeping and pleading. Antonella, you must side with me. They're bullying me. It's all Thomas's doing. Slap. Antonella kicked him away, her voice icy. Michael, are you still unrepentant? I already know everything you've done. You framed Thomas time and again, and also caused heavy losses to the company. Do you think I will still tolerate you? Michael fell face down on the ground, his eyes wide, in disbelief. Antonella, how could you treat me like this? I'm the one you love. Antonella stood straight, looking down at him. The person I love is Thomas. From beginning to end, I only loved him. Before, I was foolish and blinded by you. But now I've realized it. Between us, it's over. His pupils contracted, filled with terror. Then Michael laughed like a madman. You want me to leave? Fine, let me tell you. Thomas didn't leave because I forced him. It was you. Did you think I didn't know? You and he were together for 4 years. But you never made it public. The moment I returned, you immediately avoided him, shunned him. The person who truly made him leave is you, Antonella. That sentence stunned everyone around. Antonella's face, which had softened slightly, turned grim again. Michael, like someone who had lost all reason, gave a cold laugh, his voice vicious. That Thomas is truly an idiot. Being your secret lover for 4 years. And still willing to do it. Antonella, you were the one who didn't trust him. You were the one who chose me when he was hurt. You pushed him away. Not me. Antonella's face grew colder. Her fists clenched. It seems you still don't know where you went wrong. She waved her hand, signaling the security guards to drag Michael away. Afterward, she ordered them to take him back to the villa. Lock him in the basement for interrogation and beating. Antonella forced him to relive everything he had used to torment me. In addition, he was forced to bathe in 100-degree boiling water. His body scalded, covered in blisters, or forced to kneel for an entire day, fainting and waking up only to continue kneeling. Throughout that time, Antonella never came to see him once. She had more important things to do, which was to find me. Since realizing her feelings, she swore she would bring me back no matter what. The only person who knew my whereabouts was her brother, Lionel. She brought gifts to his house and knocked on the door. Lionel opened the door, saw his sister, and his smile immediately froze into a look of disgust. What are you doing here? Antonella knew she was at fault. Her hands full of gift bags, she forced a smile. Lionel, I know I was wrong before. Today, I just want to ask you for a favor. Do you know where Thomas is? I want to find him, to apologize. Lionel gave a faint smile. Only now do you remember him? Do you still remember how you treated him before? Because of Michael, you hurt him time and again. Now you want to salvage things? It's too late. Lionel, I know I was wrong. I want to make amends. Can you tell me where Thomas is? I won't let Michael harm him anymore. I will treat him well from now on. You and he are best friends. If he and I are together, you can also see him every day. Enough, Lionel cut her off. Even without you, Thomas is still my good brother. As long as he lives well, anywhere is fine. Sis, how many times did you hurt him? Do you still have the face to talk about making amends? You were the one who told me. Michael was supposed to be my brother-in-law before. Antonella choked up, unable to speak. Lionel's nature was straightforward. Thinking of what I had endured, his heart was even more enraged. Seeing his sister silent, he sneered. Because of Michael. You not only ordered people to beat Thomas, but you also hit me, right? Now you say you regret it. Don't you think it's too late? Let me tell you. Thomas is living very well overseas now. Hearing that, Antonella's face turned white. She staggered, forced a deep breath, and lowered her head. Brother, I admit I was wrong. I have already punished Michael. If you don't believe me, I can take you to see him. Please tell Thomas for me that. I know I was wrong. Thomas loved me for 8 years. 8 whole years. He will definitely forgive me. Her voice was trembling. The faster she spoke, the more it sounded like something was chasing her. The corners of her eyes gradually turned red. But Lionel only found it amusing. For the first time in his life, he saw his once arrogant sister looking so pathetic. You know Thomas loved you for 8 years too? So how did you treat him? You treated him like a tool. An item you could command at will. A loyal dog you called when needed. And dismissed when done. Now you say you regret it. Do you think it's still in time? You were the one who exhausted Thomas's love for you. Now that he's gone, you realize you were wrong. Sis, I'm a human too, and I feel pain. Michael's voice choked up, his eyes red-rimmed. Antonella listened to her brother. And countless memories welled up in her heart. Her voice was hoarse, and then, she knelt down. Lionel. At least let me see him one more time. Just once. If he truly doesn't forgive me, I will never bother him again. From childhood, Antonella had never begged anyone. This was the first time. She was kneeling before her own younger brother. All for a man who had left her, that is, me. Lionel was stunned. Never expecting his proud sister could humble herself to this extent. But he also couldn't betray his best friend, me, for his sister. He gritted his teeth and said, "All right, I can ask him. If Thomas agrees to meet you, I will let you know where he is." Antonella, who had been on the verge of despair, suddenly had her eyes light up, nodding repeatedly. Lionel sent me a message. But there was a time difference between the two countries. So he advised his sister to go home and rest first. And he would let her know as soon as he heard anything. However, Antonella refused to leave. She stayed at her brother's house, sleeping on the sofa, waking up at the slightest sound, hoping it was news from me. It wasn't until the evening of the next day that Lionel received my reply. Fine, I will meet her once. Just a few short words. But they made Antonella's heart soar. Thomas was still willing to meet her. That meant there was still hope between us. Carrying that excitement, Antonella hastily booked the earliest flight. Sis, Lionel grabbed her arm, frowning. You should rest for a day before you go. You haven't slept in days. Thomas said he would meet you. So he definitely won't miss the appointment. But Antonella shook his hand off. I can't wait any longer. Every day away from him, I miss him to the point of madness. I just want to see him again. Her voice was as soft as mist. Her distant eyes filled with tenderness. Watching his sister rush off, Lionel could only sigh softly. If only you hadn't acted that way before. But Antonella didn't hear him. In her heart, only one name remained, Thomas. Just thinking about seeing me again. She couldn't sit still. Throughout the 8-hour flight, she couldn't even catch a wink of sleep. How was I living in a foreign land? Was I eating properly? Was anyone taking care of me? She thought about that, and her heart softened. My image appeared in her mind. The young secretary, who had silently loved her for so long, thinking he had kept it a secret. But in fact, she always knew. It was just that, at the time, her heart was completely devoted to Michael. So she never paid attention to me. After that fateful night, a night of straying, she still had never truly thought about me. And I, the one who always endured, finally mustered the courage to confess. She refused. But didn't refuse my embrace. Didn't refuse the youthful desire. We became entangled in the shadows, everywhere. I knew my limits, never taking advantage of her for money or fame. Perhaps it was for that reason that she accepted me, half public, half hidden. If it weren't for Michael's appearance, Perhaps she truly intended to continue living that way with me. But when did she start loving me? From seeing my diligence? From feeling my thoughtfulness? Or from realizing my sincere love for her? Antonella didn't know. Those 4 years passed too quickly. By the time she realized it, she had already lost me. Now, she had thought things through. As long as I was willing to forgive her, she would be willing to do anything I wanted. She wouldn't hide it anymore. She would openly declare this love. She would marry me. She would spend her whole life making it up to me. Just thinking about seeing me again. A small smile of happiness blossomed on her face. Joy filled her chest, making her unable to wait another second. When the plane landed, Antonella immediately rushed to the agreed-upon coffee shop. The door opened, and the wind chime gently jingled. She saw me, the man sitting in the corner. My eyes calm, my face much thinner. Not seeing each other for a month. Yet it felt like a long, drawn-out year had passed. I still remembered the past. She always appeared in neat business attire. Serious and cold. But today, in casual clothes, with her hair messy over her forehead, she looked exactly like the girl from that year. The one who innocently loved me. She stood there for a few seconds. Then walked towards me, smiling. Thomas, long time no see. She tried to restrain herself from rushing to hug me. Just quietly looking at me for a long time. I said calmly, "We're meeting today. Only to clarify everything. I have no intention of bringing up the past." She quickly interrupted. "You don't need to say anything more. I understand. It was my fault before. I didn't understand my own heart clearly. Which is why I let Michael hurt you. Thomas, now I know. The person I truly love is only you." Antonella said it all in one breath, her eyes blazing, waiting for a reply from me. But I just gave a faint smile. My eyes as calm as a lake surface. "Antonella, it's too late. Both your apology and your love." I put down my coffee cup and stood up. "If you're done talking, I'll be going now. Between us, there's nothing left to say." Antonella's face turned pale, and she quickly grabbed my hand. "It's not too late, Thomas. We still have a future. I've already punished Michael. As long as you come back, I can give you everything. It's been 4 years. Could it be that just because of this 1 month, you don't love me anymore?" I looked at her, my voice light as the wind. "That's right. It's because of this month that I saw everything clearly. I don't love you anymore. And we have no way of going back." I gently pulled my hand away and said softly, "I wish you and Michael 100 years of happiness." Then I turned and walked away. Antonella was stunned. In her heart, I was the person who loved her to the bone. How could I suddenly say I didn't love her anymore? A fear she had never known flooded in. She had constantly reassured herself that I was just angry, that I still loved her. But now, when I said the words, "don't love anymore," her heart felt sliced by a knife. Cut by cut. She trembled, clutching my hand. Her voice choked up as if about to cry. "Thomas, please don't be like this. I truly know I was wrong. Just forgive me. Let's get married immediately, okay? I won't let you stay in the company without a title anymore. If you want to continue being a secretary, then continue. If you don't want to, stay at home. I'll earn the money to support you. What's mine will be yours. No matter who appears, I won't let you be harmed. Thomas, please forgive me this one time. Let's be together again. You can't abandon me just because I made one mistake." If this were before, hearing these words would surely have made me joyful. After all, this was the woman I had loved for 8 years. And we were finally about to have a perfect ending. But now, because of Michael, my heart was dead. That 8-year-long affection for Antonella was gone. That past only made me hate myself for being so blind. Wasting every precious moment on Antonella. I took a deep breath and firmly pulled my hand away from hers. "I am being clear, we have no future. I am doing exactly what you wanted. I said before, once the person you love returns, I would withdraw myself. When Michael returned, I still hoped you would choose to give your affection to me and leave Michael. But reality proved me wrong." Looking at my face, Antonella sensed that she was truly about to lose me. She shook her head continuously, for the first time crying out loud in front of someone else. Almost begging me. Thomas, I was wrong, give me a chance to make amends. But I didn't look back. I walked away like that, disappearing before her eyes. Antonella stayed put in the coffee shop, only leaving when it closed. She didn't know what to do, her heart filled with misery. That very pain made her realize even more how important I was to her. And she had let me slip away just like that. If Michael hadn't returned, if Antonella had realized she loved me sooner, if she hadn't disappointed me, countless possibilities flashed through her mind. But she knew, she had no way of going back. Antonella wandered the foreign streets. Thunder cracked, rain poured down. Passers-by hurried to find shelter. But she didn't know where to go. She walked while calling my name, drenched. Suddenly her phone rang. Antonella hopefully opened it to a message from Lionel. "Sis, come back." Looking at those words, she felt broken. Why did it turn out like this? Antonella knelt in the rain, crying and howling, pain overwhelming her. All her future, all her emotions, were submerged. She walked to the front of an apartment building, the door tightly shut. That was where I lived, the only place she found a little comfort. Antonella didn't dare to knock, huddling in front of the door. Having not slept for days, and being lashed by the rain, she fell asleep out of exhaustion. In her dream, I forgave her, and we returned home together. Just like before. But the difference was, in the dream, Antonella no longer betrayed me. She openly declared our relationship, even proposing to me. I held her in my arms, crying and saying, "Finally, this day has come." Antonella smiled softly, as if grasping happiness. Immediately after, Antonella passed out. When she opened her eyes, she had a headache, her body numb. She struggled to open her eyes, seeing an unfamiliar ceiling. She was about to get out of bed, when my voice sounded. "Don't move." Hearing my voice, Antonella forgot everything, sitting up quickly, hugging me tightly as if she had just found me again. "Thomas, have you forgiven me? I know I was wrong. I will make it up to you for the rest of my life." Antonella sobbed uncontrollably, regret surging like waves. But I stopped. I only did it for Lionel. If you died in front of my door, Lionel would be heartbroken. I frowned, pulling myself out of Antonella's embrace. At this moment, she finally looked closely at my face. My eyes no longer held affection, only emptiness. This expression made her heart ache. Antonella turned pale, her hands stopped in midair, staring blankly at me, as if looking at the one she loved but couldn't touch. She called out choked, "Thomas." I was cold. "I've called Lionel, he'll come pick you up. Don't look for me anymore. I'm living fine without you. Let the past be the past. The moment you chose to intrude into my life, we were over." My words, sentence by sentence, painful, seeped into Antonella's heart. She looked at me, clearly near yet infinitely far. "Do we really have no chance left?" She gave a final look, and I replied, "Yes, we have no chance left." Like 100 arrows piercing her heart. Antonella's heart almost shattered from the pain. She wanted to reach out and touch my face. But I firmly avoided her. Antonella's tears blurred her vision, and fell. Not long after, Lionel arrived. He rushed over as soon as he received my call. Antonella, at this point, calmed down. "Lionel, you're here, just sit down and talk for a bit." As he was leaving, Lionel felt uneasy. "I'm sorry, Thomas, I shouldn't have been soft-hearted and let your sister come looking for you. Causing you trouble." I patted his shoulder. "It's okay, even if you hadn't told her, I would have handled it myself. A short pain is better than a long one. Being straightforward this time is good." Despite this, Lionel still felt very guilty. He looked into the distance, trying to hold back, and asked me, "Thomas, if Michael hadn't appeared, would you have stayed with my sister?" I smiled slightly. I used to ask myself that question. But after the past month, I understood clearly. Even without Michael, someone else would have appeared. Antonella's love for me was merely a sight that people only realize the value of when it is already lost. I smiled loosely, At peace. No one asked the reason. Perhaps the answer was already ready in everyone's hearts. Lionel brought Antonella back home in a dazed state. Recently, Stark's assets suffered heavy losses. Antonella no longer had the presence of mind to manage. The company had to be temporarily handed over to Lionel. Poor my friend, who had to brace himself to shoulder the ruin. His sister had left behind, right after returning home. Fortunately, he had studied business management abroad, so he wasn't completely lost. But as Lionel prepared to take over the company, he was still kind enough to send his sister a few photos. When I was abroad, I also investigated some information. Take a look. Antonella opened them to see. They were all about Michael. Lionel had investigated. During his years abroad, he hadn't studied seriously at all, spending his days drinking and womanizing. Involved with a few wealthy foreign women, shady and unclear. Some even became pregnant and had abortions. He had long ceased to be the image in Antonella's memory. Recalling the past, Antonella was slightly stunned, but soon realized she couldn't even recall what he looked like before. 10 years of separation, now meeting again. The innocent, pure affection of her youth had been completely worn away by time. Now, when Antonella closed her eyes, only my face appeared in her mind. Sometimes smiling, sometimes loving. So vivid it racked her heart. But after another 10 years, would she be able to forget me just like she forgot Michael? A trace of hesitation and sadness arose in Antonella's heart. But the one who caused everything that was happening was herself. She clearly knew what Michael had done. But because of vague feelings, the words, "I love you," because of a person like that, she pushed me away. Looking at the photos again, her heart no longer rippled, as if it had completely died. Thank you, Lionel, I won't worry you for too long. Antonella thanked him in a hoarse voice. Suddenly remembering something, she smiled at her brother. It seems I still owe you a debt, Antonella said, then raised her hand and slapped herself hard. Her face immediately swelled up, startling Lionel. Sis, what are you doing? Antonella swallowed her anger, and said softly, I hit you before, I apologize. This time I'm repaying that debt to you. Lionel frowned, not knowing what to say. He tried to reach out, but lowered his hand several times. Finally, he sighed. All right, as long as you don't do anything foolish again. There might be a second person who appears. When that happens, don't miss out on them. Lionel smiled and waved. Antonella said nothing, only watching her brother leave. She didn't want to hurt her brother's heart. Because everyone knew there wouldn't be a second me. A feeling of bitterness welled up. She silently swallowed it down again. Antonella held the photo, and went down to the basement. During this time, Michael endured enough torture. Not eating enough, not sleeping peacefully. The things he had done to me now returned to him 1,000-fold. Michael trembled in the basement. Seeing the door open and light shining in, he still didn't understand what was happening. Only when Antonella walked in did he seem to wake up from a dream. As if seeing a lifeline, he lunged forward and hugged her legs tightly. Antonella, I was wrong, forgive me. I will never bother you and Thomas again. I will go far away and no longer love you. Please spare me, I truly know I was wrong. He begged and sobbed, utterly pathetic. Antonella said nothing, looking closely at his face. It had lost its former charm. Only infinite greed and desire remained. Why did she lose the most important person because of him? Just thinking about Michael, Antonella's anger boiled up, as if wanting to tear him into 1,000 pieces. But as Lionel said, the root of it was actually her own self-delusion. All Michael did was exploit her emotions. Antonella calmed down, and threw the photos down. When Michael saw the content, his eyes widened in astonishment, contracting. That was the past he wanted to hide the most. He returned home because he couldn't survive abroad. But he didn't expect it to be brought to light. Michael was panicked and confused. No, it wasn't me. Antonella, believe me. That's not me in there. It must be someone intentionally trying to harm me. Could that person be Thomas? He doesn't want you to forgive me. So he made up these things to make you angry. Michael covered his head, rambling madly, continuing. His whole body was frantic. Abroad, I was completely not like this. I got into a top university. I had a good job. And a girlfriend who loved me. Nothing bad ever happened. Everything happening now is fake. This shouldn't be my life. Michael spoke, then burst into tears. Initially, when he went abroad, he lived freely, unrestrained, and happily. Because of his handsome appearance, he had several shady relationships. These people were willing to spend money on him. Even when he made mistakes, someone would take care of it. But he didn't know when. The people around him left one by one. Michael couldn't get a degree. Could only buy a certificate from a third-rate school. He was rejected everywhere he applied for a job. Couldn't support himself. The only way left was to become a gigolo. Quickly, his reputation spread everywhere. Having no place to stay, he had to return home. At first, Michael was delighted that Antonella was still waiting for him back home. But now he realized. Everything has a price. Michael knelt down, crying, apologizing and bowing down. Antonella was completely expressionless. Just looking at him. Until he was exhausted, she finally spoke. You can go. The unexpected answer made Michael's eyes widen. Not daring to believe. Antonella, what did you say? Antonella repeated it one more time. You can go, Michael. From now on, we have no further contact. I once loved you. But too much time has passed. Now there is someone else in my heart. After hearing that, Michael didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't even know where he should go. Antonella left, uncaring. The door was open, there were no more security guards or pressure restricting him. But he suddenly realized. An uncertain future was even scarier than the present. After a moment, Michael slowly stood up, staggering out of the stark house. No one knew where he went, and no one cared. On a freezing cold day, someone found Michael lifeless next to a trash heap. Meanwhile, after resting, Antonella took back the reins of the company. Lionel breathed a sigh of relief. He had never wanted to manage the family assets since he was young. He had his own dreams, his own plans. A year later, Lionel received a message from me, saying that I was about to get married, inviting him to be the best man. Lionel was overjoyed, dropping all his work, buying a ticket to fly over. Antonella heard the news from her brother. Her hands paused. Then she lowered her eyes, pretending to casually ask, "So fast, Thomas is already getting married?" Throughout the past year, she often heard news about me from her brother, knowing that I had a loving girl. But now, I was about to get married. Antonella only saw everything blurry, no longer clearly reading the words on the paper. From the other end of the line, my voice sounded warm. Yeah, it's about time to get married. Finally met the right person. Don't want to wait any longer. Lionel spoke while packing his luggage. Yeah, but are you guys planning to live abroad from now on? Not coming back? I'll have to run back and forth again. You're so heartless, you didn't even contact me. He laughed and complained. Quickly done packing, Lionel waved goodbye to Antonella. I'm off, sis. Antonella didn't say anything, until Lionel was out of sight. His figure disappeared, the voice on the phone was gone too. She slowly put down her pen, pressed her hand to her forehead. Tears fell, her heart aching. It turned out, seeing the man she loved marry someone else. This was what it felt like. She trembled, suppressing the painful tears. A year after my wedding, I returned home, keeping my promise to be Lionel's best man. Antonella hadn't seen me for a long time. She controlled her emotions, but her eyes still lingered on me, afraid of interrupting a beautiful dream. After the wedding, she followed her brother to my table. I smiled. Antonella, long time no see. Antonella nodded calmly. Long time no see, Thomas. She reached out and lightly tapped my wineglass. The clinking sound echoed in my heart, reverberating with the suppressed emotions. Antonella wanted to say many things. You've changed so much, are you happy? But all impulses stopped when a woman approached. It was my wife. Antonella offered the wine glass to my wife. Apologies, she's pregnant, she can't drink. I'll drink for her. I laughed. Antonella was surprised. You two are having a baby? I said. Only a month along. We wanted to be stable before telling everyone. I, my wife, Antonella, and Lionel gathered. But Antonella felt like an outsider. It turned out, the best ending was to become complete strangers. She silently watched me happy with my wife. Her heart aching. She raised her glass. Congratulations, you finally found your happiness. After saying that, she drank it all. For the first time feeling a sense of relief. Then quietly left, not bothering us anymore. A gust